My name is Brian Crowell. I am a partner in the investment management group, and I just came from the Workforce Reimagined AI Talent and Transformation session. What were the biggest takeaways from the panel? So I think one of the things was interesting from this panel is that there really seems to be a kind of top-down message that companies are really looking into how they can use AI to kind of change their workforce, their business processes, whereas maybe 2 years ago, this was a little bit more of a fringe idea. It's much more accepted, and a lot of firms, also auditors, are really similar processes trying to figure out how can we use it, how can we get a return on our investment. But in an interesting way, one of the things I noticed that they led with is they talked about how to use it in your personal life and then how to use it in your professional life, which I think has been one of the things that's really made this such a big topic, is people have been so impressed by how they use it in the personal life with ChatGPT. That's become such a big question of how do we use this same technology to change our company, to improve our work product, our efficiency. So there really seems to be a kind of changing of the tide that now this is on everybody's mind, and there's an expectation that there's going to be some results from it. So how will this impact the industry? So that's an interesting question, because the answer really is it's up in the air right now. Really, everybody is in kind of a information gathering mode where they're really trying to determine how can we use this and what's the return on investment. I think one of the interesting points the person from Deloitte raised was that the investment management industry seems to be using it different than other industries, whereas investment management is using it more to kind of help their business process, where in certain other fields, it's kind of replacing business processes. So, it's interesting. I do think I've heard this kind of consistent theme over the last couple of years that AI is being more useful in like kind of tailored tasks, as opposed to what people think of with the ChatGPT, where you just ask it any question that you can think of and it just gives you a response. It seems like people, one, from a return on investment, are trying to kind of identify certain tasks, whether it's kind of the kind of labor-intensive, like repeatable tasks that can take up a lot of time but that don't have a high value. If there's ways to use AI to replace that really quickly and then make people better at their job, they're trying to find kind of examples like that. One of the other interesting kind of points people talked about with how they're evaluating how useful it is really how much can we get people to actually use it. Part of the return of investment is having 70-80% of the people in your company actually use the task, whereas sometimes they're finding that they'll create an AI and only 20-30% are actually using it. So it was really interesting to kind of see how everybody is kind of evaluating the use of AI and how they're finding what tasks it can actually be used for. So it was an interesting panel, and I think it would be, next year there will be a lot more to report on.